Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in from. Welcome to the Designing Podcast. Today, very interesting topic we have. Um, Aise Idahor here with us and my co-host Kutaji. Very interesting topic today, and I must say, even I myself, when we came up with the idea for the topic, I've been looking forward to having Isaiah here to basically guide us through. So I'm eager to hear what he has to say. The topic we'll be touching on today is designing for new technologies, Web3, AI, and beyond. Before we go further, I'm going to allow I said do a brief introduction. Just tell us a bit about yourself, how you got into design, and your journey into design, what it's like.
Mm. All right. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. So, my name is Aise Idahor. Full name is Isosa. I'm from Benin. So, unlike a lot of folks that had cool design names when we kind of started designing, I was too lazy to find a cool design name. I tried, but it didn't work. So, I just stuck with my normal name that my parents called me at home. So, I started. So, my journey into tech was a very unambitious one. It was driven solely by personal interests, and it was sustained because it felt cool. Now I'll explain. So I started. I don't like saying this story outside because it gives a wrong picture of me, but I promise I don't change. So this was way back in university days. I think I was in 200 level then. This was like 2015. 10 years. That was when I kind of started tech. So 2015, I was then as a Uniben student, we are looking for money. So the allowance that my parents gives, it works. My popsy try, man, no, cast the guy. But as a student, you generally need extra funds. So there was this thing that was coming up very predominantly when I was in school then, Ponzi schemes. And we tried. I did one. There was this one where they will tell you to bring four people, no, three people. You get, I think, bring 7K, you get like 21K and something like that. It felt nice because I felt I was doubling my money, but in reality, I was just collecting money from my friends. So I collected money from my friends. They could not now find extra people. Conscience can they do me? I now had to return back their money. And we said, okay, we're not going to do that one again. We're going to do another one that the system refers you. We put money, system not refer us. Money has gone. I said that doesn't give up. He said we'll try another one. We put money again, another system, another platform. It did not work. And my friend just said to me, I said, how about the reason why we don't get into this stuff is because we don't come in early. But if we build out our own, we'll be the first set of people that refer people generally. So we'll be like the top of the ladder. And I said, makes sense. So we were like, okay, you know what? I see, that is why I said I don't like saying this story. Me, you know, the look we what. So I was like, okay, no,
No, no,
voila. So
it's actually an interesting. This is the this is the first time I'm here.
it was a funny way of going to tech. So I was like, okay, no problem. So long story short, we didn't even like know we can get it done ourselves. So there was this agency in Warri that my another friend got to refer us to, and we're like, okay, no problem. So we told this guy the date we wanted the sites to be launched. We told him how we didn't even know how product works. We didn't know anything. We just said we want this kind of site. We showed him the site. We said we should make it work. Like we wanted a Ponzi, a referral system. So now we paid him then 250K. We gathered all our jaw, we broke all our bottle. This was 2015. We broke everything. All of us contributed funds together to pay for the platform. Now, on the day it was meant to launch, platform no launch. Bugs everywhere. So everything scattered this spot. And we're angry. We're like, what's so difficult in this thing that this guy, if we're the ones that did it by ourselves now, maybe we'll be able to cater for some of all these mistakes. Then we just say, you know what, let's start learning. So we went into and I was always curious about learning anyways. Creating is always something that has been of interest to me. So I was like, you know what? See, I like learning things. Let me just start learning by myself now. So me and my roommate, we started, and that was how we journeyed into tech. We started from Webflow. Webflow didn't give us what we, I mean, sorry, WordPress. WordPress didn't give us what we wanted. Then we now moved into learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then it continued like that. So it was just fun. When we started coding, we started enjoying it. Like it was something no other person knew was doing. So you know that engineering steez of you are doing something different. Like everybody's reading. When you just say I write code, everybody's asking you, what's code? You're like, man, you just show your laptop. If I write console.log, it's just bring out hello, say see this, see this, see this. It was cool. Then I continued that way until I think it was my 400 level. I got a job where I was doing my IT as a front end developer, but something was different this time around. Um, I wasn't interested in having a job. I was just enjoying the fact that I was learning something that was cool and I could brag about it. So it was like a hobby for me. Then this guy said it at, he said, you actually are good at what you are doing. Why don't you work for me? And I was like, okay. I didn't know how work works. Then he told me he was going to pay me. I won't say the amount, it's much, but he told me he was going to pay me. And I said, okay, no problem. I started working for his company during my IT. But I was very opinionated about things they asked me to code. Why is this done this way? This particular flow, it's not making sense. Even me that is coding it, I'm confused. So I was always having a lot of iterative discussions with the founder and with the product person in terms of how we structure flows, how we structure, why is the button this way? Why is it linking to this page? Me, I don't understand this thing. So I found myself doing more of product thinking before the engineering, before writing up the code. So after a while, it now became 70% product thinking, 30% writing code. That was how I just gravitated more towards the product thinking side because I realized I enjoyed it more. So I continued from there, switched from um, the engineering side to design. Then I now decided to officially take a course in design. So that was when I now officially started my career as a product designer. This was like, um, let's say 7 years fully into design now. Then, yeah, moved from there. After I graduated in 2019, I got a job in Poland in a company that deals in e-commerce. I didn't really like it because the company basically was recreating Amazon. No difference, just building out an Amazon. So I didn't feel challenged. My product thinking skills were not utilized. And I moved from there. I said, let me give e-commerce another try because that was all I knew. I went to another company, Kufuta, in Portugal. They kind of went down a bit due to bad management. And I was like, I needed more challenges. So 2020, I went to a company called Bento Africa. So I was there in Bento. It was a SaaS product. They were doing payroll and human resource management. That was the most, that was like one of the peak of my learning curves. It was a very, first of all, the environment was a very strict one where you guys work. You guys work. And also, it was a very delicate project that had a lot of internal moving parts, parts you don't see as a user, but it needs to work. It was dealing a lot with humans, it was dealing a lot with finances. So you would have to think about consequences of your actions. So that was like the peak of my learning curve. And I was there for quite a bit before there was a particular feature that we're struggling. We're trying to scale to the rest of Africa, but we couldn't. And I was already a user of Web3. I wasn't building for Web3, but I was a user. And I suggested, how about we integrate stable coins for payment solutions? This was way before companies that even started using stable coins to even make financial transactions across the globe. We already had that process joining into our payments providing solution. Well, it didn't go live because our CEO didn't like the idea, or he was a bit on the extreme end of Web3's scam. So, but anyways, it delved me deeper into Web3 and I started learning more. And that was how I fully immersed myself in Web3. I got a job in Arc where I was a product designer there. Then I think from there it has just been full blown Web3. From Arc, I worked there for about a year plus. I got reached out by the CEO of Valist and I became their creative director. Valist got acquired by Hyperplay. I moved into Game 7, which is a product, which is the main general product of Hyperplay. They own Hyperplay Summon. So I was in the Summon team under Game 7. where I was started as a senior product designer, became the lead product designer, and during that period, I've been transitioning between having a lot of maybe side projects where you work on some Web3 products like BitPower and some other ones. So it's been a full learning process from fully into Web3 from 2021 down till now. I have both designed and I have both built products, which Groove is one of them, which is a fully AI powered, blockchain powered solution. So, anyways, that's about me and my journey so far.
First of all, I just want to say you have probably one of the most exciting stories. Exciting stories. I'm just telling you. Like I could not stop. Like I was listening, I'm like, God damn, man. Like, nah, you really, you really, no, you really like and I think it was really interesting how your story is quite unique to should I call it like a use case that is unique to Nigeria? Like it started out of need, like out of personal need, and then like kind of your own curiosity now took you further, right? And it's very interesting because you mentioned something that is really important, like how passion that for a while you were just passionate about learning, and that is something that people need to understand that if you start off looking for money at first, if you go you go
Ah,
looking at
I'm
yeah,
frustrated.
yeah, exactly. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for that illustrious story. Yeah. So yeah. Um what was your okay, you told us about like how you encountered Web3 robot, right? But like is there anything that currently excites you about the space right now in the Web3 space?
Hmm. So I think Web3. So basically, I've been a designer who has always been fueled by passion. Like I tell people, I tell my mentees, I tell my friends, as I think it's God that has just probably set me in places where I actually do my skill sets produce like very decent, substantial inflow. But unlike a lot of other designers that I know that are money first, I've always been passion first. And that has maybe, like I say it all the time, what works for me might not work for every other person. So
Mm-hmm.
my passion pushes me to, if you are, like, for example, you're on my WhatsApp, compared to now that I don't really post on Twitter. If you're on my WhatsApp, everybody on my WhatsApp at every point in time knows what I'm doing. Now, I don't post a lot of my life, but if you see maybe I'm learning or I'm interested, even if it's down to anime, you will just know that Isa is watching anime this period because I would be talking about it. I will post snippets. If I'm maybe learning Web3 design, I'll be posting about it. I'll be letting you know my challenges. I'll be letting you know my issues. That drive in me would even let you see my vulnerabilities because I let you know I'm learning. Now, I have explored a lot of other spaces. I think I don't think there's any space you can call in design that I have not touched, from health tech to edu tech to fintech to SaaS to anyone you can, even VR, AR. I've basically worked on it at a point in time. But you see the Web3 space and AI space compared to a lot of other sites that you start after a while, you feel I've seen all there is to it, or there is nothing really new here. The Web3 space is one that keeps evolving. Now, the reason why probably it's still evolving is because it hasn't gotten to its fully fleshed state yet. So the fact that it started off as a tool that enables full ownership, and that was the whole idea of Web3, ownership and transparency. But now it has evolved, the technology has evolved to the point where every single thing that you are capable of doing on Web2, which is the evolution of the internet, anyways, can be both powered by Web3. And Web3 is now no longer now pushing the narrative of the tech, but it's pushing the narrative of full ownership, custody, and a lot of new things coming up to even make the systems easier for users, like account abstractions. It's one particular niche that if you observe well, you will notice that it always still listens to the users and it keeps iterating. The Web3 products you see this year compared to the way the Web3 UX was probably even 2 years ago, you will notice a very big difference. One of the space that has the fastest change and constant iteration is the Web3 space. So because of that active evolution that keeps occurring, it's one reason why I still am very excited about the space. I still look forward to seeing what is achievable. And yeah, even the AI space now came in with a big banger. Like you see the AI space, it started off as the first time I knew about AI, this was I just knew about it play and I was like, well, it's just like a chat bot. It didn't really feel too special to me. I said, okay, you know what, it's nice. I was like, oh, good for customer support. My little knowledge. You know, when they say someone has little knowledge, it
Yeah.
blinded my eye to the possibilities. So, but when ChatGPT came out, this was ChatGPT came out like it's not last year that I think became very popular. Sha. It might have come out before I don't know, but when I like started interacting with GPT, that was early last year. When I saw the possibilities that GPT did, I was wowed. Now, before you know it, it's just like when someone is rushing you, like before you know, left, right. They're just, I was thinking, okay, it's like an advanced way of getting information. Before you know it, you start seeing, oh, you're now using AI to even make financial tools and using it to learn trading, using it to get transactions, using it to have on your e-commerce space. Like I have a friend that built out a tool that allows you buy the cheapest products across anywhere. I can say I can put a product picture and say I want to get the best this in the best price. It scans through every platform that has it and sends you a link of the one with the cheapest price. So basically, at every given point in time, it's buying the cheapest price. I have another one that helps you pay bills using AI. The AI agent helps you negotiate with the providers for cheaper solutions. Like for example, your Netflix, you can negotiate it down or find a way that you split the bill across multiple people, and everybody probably pays Netflix for maybe like I've forgotten the amount, but let's say 5K, but you find a way to pay it for like 2K. So like you get to see people doing crazy things. Like even now that we are now having a lot of AI agents, even helping you with marketing, helping you with sales pitches, the possibility has exploded from what my initial thought of just a way to get information to now a support partner for life decisions and your career choices. So those two spaces, I think so far so good. There's still rush into it. It's still
Yeah.
exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing what's it's bringing forward.
Fantastic. I think it's interesting how you're looking at both technologies right now, which like makes me wonder like outside of these two, are there any other emerging technologies you've seen or doing work or outside of work that's really like catching your fancy right now?
Hmm. Okay, so outside Web3 and AI, now those are the two I'm actively working in, both building and like I'm actively designing full-time jobs and projects for. The space that has my most interest currently now is also because of personal interest, maybe things I've watched as a kid. But you see, the spatial computing niche is something I have a lot of interest in. Now, the fact that you are in an immersive world whereby all what you are doing and interacting with your digital system is through both the humans you see or the objects you see and your environment. It's very, aside from it's fascinating in terms of it's new, it's exciting. It gives that immersive feel, it gives that personalized touch. Now, I know it has probably not had the best start. I know the first time I got this was the Oculus headset. I think that was 2022. I got myself one. The first time I put it on, I was blown. I didn't know it was possible. Like people were telling me about it, oh, 3D. I was like, okay. When I put it on, and I think the first video you see there, like a default video, is like where dinosaurs are moving around and stuff like that. And you were seated. I felt for the first time, like I felt very excited about something. The fact that it feels real, you feel like you can touch it, but you cannot touch it. I started thinking of possibilities. how would this work for personalized learnings? For someone probably like me, that because when we even talk about learnings, there's a research article I was reading that says children have the most the children have one of their best learnings from what they see and what they observe. They stick to it a lot. It sticks to them way more than things they learn in school. That's why, according to the research, it's like times a bit slower for children than adults because they are kind of amassing a lot from the environment. They are seeing things, they are learning things. Now that's learning. Imagine we now transition from learning from the environment to learning from what we read and what we see, which now becomes more of a 2D system. Now we are now trying to bring back the ability to even learn from the environment now. There is a deeper level that you will learn from such things. There is a deeper connection, there's a deeper feel. Everything about the immersive world has that more personalized touch, and the experience just blew my mind away. Even watching Iron Man, when he brings everything out, he spreads it. It has that cool feel compared to just. So it has not had the highest or the best start. I think Metaverse tried, it didn't really work. The Apple Vision, it's struggling. But yes, out of every other space right now, I think that's my most fascinating space.
Very interesting that you mentioned Iron Man. Imagine seeing Iron Man, like I feel like it's real. There's this stuff. I think it's in New York where the dome. I think they call it the dome. I don't know if you guys have seen it where there's like this Kutaji, I'm sure you've seen that. Is this like images are placed on the entire building. So like I think there's now a thing that they do where you are able to watch immersive movies. Like I'm not talking about 3D. This is like truly immersive. Like so they've done like Matrix and some other movies. Really interesting stuff. When I remember it, I'll put it up. But yeah, you mentioned the interesting stuff about AR and VR, right? The spatial computing. We also talked about AI and Web3. So you've seen how there's so many emerging technologies, and how do we as designers like what is like the mindset shift we need to be able to make as a designer, to be able to enter these spaces, um, to learn and to to adapt quickly.
Okay, mindset shifts. Mindset shift. Okay, so like I was saying, everything has been evolving, and for every evolution, you need to pick up new skills to be able to survive in that particular world. Even down to even the cavemen, I don't think, like, if we believe what we see in movies and what historical artifacts tell us, we'll know that okay, there were times where humans were probably living under rocks and they were fighting with spears, but there would now necessarily be an evolution where people start using arrows so they can be able to have at least a distance kind of fighting instead of you using your spears. Then it evolved into having guns, it evolved into having um, probably more sophisticated means of defending yourself. Now, the whole goal of everything is for every stage and every evolution, humans have to pick up new skills to adapt. Because the world has always been, I'm talking about now, this is not even design or digital space, the world at a whole, it's a space where evolution is going to happen, whether we like it or not. Now, from the way we live, from the way we search for food, from the way we defend ourselves, evolution is going to happen. And for every level of evolution, it might start with either somebody or a race or a tribe. And at that initial moment, they have the upper hand. Now, it now depends on who can quickly evolve, catch up to that evolution to be able to survive. Either you start knowing the weapons they have, start trying to make deals with the people that make it for them, or send out your scouts to go and see or spy how they get it done, then you also evolve. The science behind everything is evolution is constant, and the people that survive are people that understand that particular evolution and know how to make it work for them. It's constant. Now, in the digital space, we noticed when the web started with Web 1. They never really called it Web 1 anyways, just called the internet, where everything you kind of, the internet is basically just a space where you can see information. So it's like your online library. You basically see information. You can't really interact with it. Now, if you see designs, then you would shake your head and be like, what kind of, who designed this kind of thing? It's like you didn't put in effort into this. But I tell people, like, those things you see as, oh, they didn't put in effort, or those design looks bad, nobody comes up with the intentions of, oh, I want to design a bad design right now. As at that moment, that was the best design that could come up. Not because, what's the difference in design right now? Aside from the tools that make it easier, the use of shapes, the use of text, the use of hierarchy, the use of colors, they are all the same. Now, it just now depends on what the user needs were at that point. So as at that moment, the designs were solving the problems for the users, which we just needed people to be able to see information and read it. Then it evolved into Web 2. It became a more competitive space because now you could only not just only read, you could also interact with it. So now people needed ways to be able to, okay, have conversations. Facebook came up, the big fangs, they basically came up and owned the Web 2 space. Then it kind of kept evolving from there to what we have now, where you have every niche, the fintech, e-commerce, social media, and everything. But the goal of that was an interactive space. The system could provide you information, and you could also interact with it and influence, basically interacting with it. So it was a give and take kind of scenario. Designs had to evolve to be able to match that. Now, designers needed to now be able to understand, or what users needed at that particular moment to be able to solve that instance. Now, there now needed to be flows compared to Web 1, where it's just like a full library. Maybe next, you're passing, you're receiving information. So, oh, this is the first page, go to the next one. It was more linear. But in Web 2 now, because there was interaction, people's inputs were there. So there could be errors. There could be times where people make decisions. So we now needed to start accounting for all this in designs. So design evolved to be able to meet that need. Now, the same thing happened, or is happening with Web 3. So unlike Web 2, that is a more, it's a bit more fixed. It's very predictable on what you are expecting. If I'm in, I have my fintech app now. I know if I click a button, definitely I'm going to be able to send money. Or if I'm on WhatsApp, I send a message, the other person receives it. Designers that were in that space, even if all you needed to know was how linear flows works, you would survive, you would thrive. You know, clicking on this list to this, clicking on this list to this, you just need to be able to design your flow in such a way that it's accessible. It's easy to find what the user needs to interact with. So this particular system, people needed to just understand, or how to position things in places where people easily find them, how to lay out your hierarchy in such a way that it's not overwhelming, how to set up information that is easily accessible, and a lot of principles of UX that came around. But we've adopted, or we've evolved into a new system of Web3. Now, if I tell people a lot, the fundamentals of design, 70% is timeless. It doesn't change. Principles of hierarchy, principles of um, proximity, and how to make designs clear, how to be transparent, how to communicate the flows. It's relatively all the same, but how you approach it is different. Now, Web3 now came up with not just designs that are predictable, or you know your linear flows, whatever you do. You are now working with things that puts the accountability no longer in the product's hands, but in the user's hands. Now, you are no longer designing a system that is easily reversible. Unlike Web 2, where if I make maybe something wrong happens, I could always just reach out to support and I tell them this is the issue I'm facing, or I've forgotten my password, or I made a transaction and probably it got reversed, or maybe I don't want to make this purchase of this item again, whatever it might be. the system or the company, they have your information and they can actually reverse it for you. But in Web3, you are designing for a system that is not reversible. And unlike Web2, where you have information and you have the system dealing with more of your control, they have your information, you have your full control by yourself. So you have your wallets that have your keys and your seed phrases. More control is in your hands. It has its pros and cons. Like there is no longer scale of data, because that was one of the biggest issues that came up in Web2. You have more control, but at the same time, like they say, when you have more responsibility, how they put against Spider-Man, something there is a
Oh,
greater responsibility. Well, more power comes
responsibility, yeah.
exactly. So right now they've given us more power. You have more control of your data, but at the same time you have more responsibility. Now we know that even if as Web3 designers, you know that even if users have more control now, you don't just leave them, because there will be a lot of errors, people making mistakes here. Mistakes are common. Now, how do you design a fail safe for those mistakes? So you need to be able to design in such a way that there is clear defining parts where you basically have clarity in terms of the information that is being displayed, instead of unlike Web2 where it's a bit more linear in time. You know, okay, you make a transaction, it's processing. Sometimes these things deal with the blockchain. Some networks have different timings. You need to be clear about your timing systems. You need to be also clear about how to put, like, for example, like a fail safe before any transaction is initiated. So are you sure you're confirming this? A review process, because trying to set things in place where the user actually is intentional about what he's doing, because once he's done it, there's really no more reversal anymore. Then how to set information in such a way that the user understands. There is a bit more, because of how Web3 started, which is from the technology aspect of things. There are a lot of technical jargons. Now, unlike Web2 that started, or that is a bit more normalized language, Web3 has a lot of, and you cannot now say, oh, because you're in Web3, you now use those normal terms, because now you do not account for the advanced Web3 users. Because now Web3 came with a division. There are some people who understand Web3, the degens. Then there are some people who don't necessarily understand Web3. And you now need to, unlike Web2, where you're designed for one set of people with diverse target audience, you are designing now for two sets of people with still diverse audience. So you need to be able to find a balance point. You need to be able to ensure information is clear. So a lot of clarity comes when designing for Web3. That's one mindset people should put in their heads. Then for AI now is also completely different, because AI now, unlike Web2, where you have a more where the actions and outputs are very predictable. AI, you're actually designing a system that is very uncertain, is unpredictable, and relies a lot on iterations. So, unlike, so for example, AI also deals with a lot with creativity. So, you need to be able to, when designing for AI, the mindset designers need to put in place is that, unlike Web2 and Web3, or unlike Web2, where it's more predictable on what you're doing. Web3, where you need to now account for transparency and give a lot of like clarity when you're doing what you're doing. Web3, you need AI. You need to be able to put in mind that you are designing for um, uncertainty, and your designs or your outputs are subject to a lot of iterations and are also subject to human input. So now you're no longer designing just a tool, but you're designing a collaborative system where both humans and the AI need to work together. So unlike the other ones, you are designing where you give your input and the system responds to you, however way. This one, you're designing a system where you need to have, so it's like you're working with either an intern or a mentor, depending on your level of experience. So you need to put that in mind when designing.
So I like how you broke everything down into like various like categories, how to think about or approach them. That's actually amazing. And now you mentioned AI, which was because I was like, actually itching to get there because I want to know like how do you? I mean, AI now is like generating designs, content, UX
Mhm.
and UXs and all that. Like, how do you see the role of a designer evolving in that space?
Hmm. This particular question, so I know me, I will not lie. At first, too, when I saw AI coming, I told my friend, I think this was like early last year. I told my friend, Omo, just say, go pick our engineering degree back. Like, let's go and do this. Like, my father actually sent me to school. I have a degree.
Oh
Let me
my
go and stuff because with the way this thing, because it came at such an overwhelming rush. I
god.
was like, yo, you get to see what you see AI do becomes very, very overwhelming. Like the ridiculous speed at which it provides information. Even at first, I was like, don't worry, designers are safe, no problem. It's only copywriters because of ChatGPT. Only I was still feeling fly. I was like, no problem, man. You know when your heart is beating, but
Yeah.
when you say, don't worry, calm down, it has not reached your side. That moment when probably they are calling names of noisemakers, yeah, it has this beating, did not call. Nobody, not reach me, no king. Then all of a sudden, we now notice that it started gradually evolving into the tech aspect of things. The devs were having AI tools that could help them iterate on their code better, that could even help them write code from scratch. And I was like, hey, now instead of names of noisemakers, you're calling people that their uniform is rumpled. You're like, hey, you now start checking your uniform. It's not rumpled. Really rich man. You're like, okay, okay. You see the first guy that they call that they beat, his own is rumpled more than you. You're like, I'm safe, no problem. You gallant. Only for you to now see AI tools generating designs. The first time I saw it, I think that was what was with Claude. It blew my mind, and I was like, because then I was working on a contract with a company called Drip Shop, and the founder was he's someone who is a very brilliant person and has a lot of ideas. So he was always finding it difficult to communicate his ideas, and I was always having meetings with him, like because I'm kind of designer who almost will discuss. I believe that every good design has two key parts that need to be no three key parts that need to be involved. The visionaire's input. Even if he might not know how to bring it to life, you still have to remember that you are not designing based on what you actually feel. You are designing based on the vision that is set, and you're just finding the best way to come about that vision. The person might not know how to come about it. There might be things that will change as you are going. Maybe the person wanted the ability for cars to fly, but and he thought maybe if you put rocket under it to fly, but you with data with research, you realize, oh, maybe the rocket has to be at the back so that it propel it forward. So your own job is to find the best parts to come into that vision. Some things might drop, some things might add that you do not know. But the third part is also engineering. You need to be able to understand engineering constraints. You need to be able to understand what is possible, what is not, what will take years to build, what will take a short time before you can get an MVP. So there are those three aspects that need to be there. And one of my major ones that I enjoy as a product person is discussion with the visionaries. So this guy, he's someone that always has a lot of ideas and he couldn't pen it down until he discovered Claude. So what he does is he gives it a prompt and tells it to generate, how does he put it again? A React artifact, and he generates it. The first time he sent me a link, I was like, eh? Now, personally, what I would have, if I was to get that wireframe done, I would have taken, like I usually make scribbled notes on the things I want to see on that particular probably design screen. Then I now highlight them into segments. What is the most important? What are the ones that are more action items? Because important might be information, we need the user to see it, but it's not an action. So, especially if you're designing for mobile, you need to be able to place information in a the most visible place, which is usually at the top, but action in the most reachable place for your thumb, which is around a particular axis. So there are some UX principles you need to follow there. So I need to be able to highlight what is most important, what has more value, what is more beneficial to the business, what does the business want to actually achieve. So I make a lot of all these notes down. Then I start, before it even gets pretty, I don't know how to make it beautiful. I just start arranging things in blocks. Then I now go just a very quick glimpse at like what competitors are doing. Sometimes, a lot of times, you design new features, there's no competitor, you're just reiterating. So there are a lot of design thinking works. I don't want to go deep into that. But this AI tool dished it out in 30 seconds. I was wowed because he even gave me ideas I didn't think about. I was like, eh? I went to my friend, I said, see, because I was laughing at him then, he's a dev. I was like, see, if like don't go and pick up your engineering degree. Now it now became I want to am now. She is it to go and do masters? Let's go and start seeing how we port. But as time progressed, I won't lie, I was very uncomfortable with the fact that he was working with AI. But I realized that no matter how much he was working with AI, he still needed design input because AI couldn't do two things, or AI couldn't do some certain number of things. Number one is AI didn't necessarily understand proper design ethics. AI didn't really understand the full context of the product. Building out AI can basically build out a page or a particular maybe feature or flow, but AI doesn't have full context of what has been done before and cannot easily have a clear vision of where the product is fully going to. So it's a bit limited in its vision, both in the past and the future. And even how, for now at least, the final products that AI gives you still needs to be refined. And I noticed that even while we're using AI, the only difference was it improved our speed. Now, I didn't necessarily need to think about a lot of things from scratch, even though personally, I enjoy building things out from scratch. So, depending on if there is time, if I know we have maybe a 2 week sprint on this and there's enough time for me to get things done, I exercise myself doing things from scratch. I'll do my normal checklist on things I need to do from UX perspective. But if there is no time and probably there's an investor pitching this, oh no, you do what needs to be done. Pick out the AI to let it help you. So now the way I interact with AI is AI has pushed designers from having to craft from scratch to having to safeguard systems, having to understand and guide. So you look at AI as your assistant that it's just like, let's say you have a senior designer and you're working with a junior. The junior designer would probably more times than none dish out designs based on his understanding, but it's usually limited to flows and linear flows. But you as a designer now, or as a senior, you need to understand systems thinking. Now, that has, although, which is a good thing, but AI now has pushed not just now only seniors to understand systems thinking, because that's like a predominant trait of most senior designers. They've moved past, oh, this UI is pretty, this UX is nice, to understanding the whole system. When I say system, I mean the environment the product lives in, the various technologies that can be interacted with it, the long-term vision, and things around that niche. But we've moved past that to making not just only senior designers be the creators of systems thinking, but every designer now should understand systems thinking. And that is the major way you're going to be able to use AI. So using AI to be able to envision, okay, for example, you work with AI, you say, okay, can I get this? It gives you something. Now, you as a designer who understands the whole ecosystem, for example, in Web3, okay, what are the various states that can happen? Let's use a DeFi protocol. There can be pending states, a confirmed state, maybe when the transaction fails, or if maybe an AI tool, maybe when the AI is maybe drafting out the context or maybe it is revising, you need to be able to understand these various states. You need to be able to understand like stakeholders. When I mean stakeholders, I mean the various things that influence your particular project. Like in Web3 now, you have your wallet. It's a very important stakeholder of every Web3 project. You have the smart contract. You have the blockchain network that this is working in. These are all stakeholders. In your AI model, you have your data source. You have your humans, because AI is a more collaborative system. Each of these affects the experience. The ecosystem, okay, for example, in Web3, you have maybe you're dealing with a transaction, you have bridges, you are dealing with an external party, you have explorers that helps you see your transactions. You have, even in Web2, you have like or even AI, you have your API tool, you have your retrieval database. So all these things now, as a designer, you need to now start thinking about all this. AI wouldn't be able to get all those things penned down for you, but it now helps you move from that initial stage of where you have to craft things from scratch to now be more of a guide and a systems thinker to be able to bring everything into like proper view. So the ability for designers to utilize AI will do two things. It will improve your speed and it will give you more time to be creative. I would give an example of something else. So I was trying to work on a particular, so just yesterday, I was trying to work on a particular illustration. Illustration is something I do as fun by the side. Like I'm working on a project, if I have time, I just think of an idea and I just draw it and start sketching it out on my Figma. But this time around, I knew the particular brand style of the product. Now, if I was doing by myself, maybe I would just, because of time, because of maybe my memory, I might just be able to think of maybe one or two ideas. Because of the time it takes me to draft it out, I'll just do one. Highest, I'll just adjust my, it's fine, it works. But this time around, with working with AI, you have the ability to now expand your creative reach because the speed at which it provides results, you have enough time to visualize, conceptualize, iterate, and even discuss with it on other ideas that could come up. AI basically what it does is it scans the internet on information that already exists. So you also have the ability to pull knowledge from what other creators have done, make it into your own. So what you now do is guide it with your brand voice, with your brand style, and with a particular constraint that you set. If you do not know how to set those constraints with your prompts, you would end up having, oh, that's when you now see people talking about things like copyright. Oh, this you did is on that designer's project, or it looks a bit generic. But proper prompting, proper guidance, AI becomes a tool that both expands your creativity as a design, improves your speed, and actually it doesn't take your job like everybody fears. It instead it makes you a better designer. Now, the problem with that is designers might, just like every other evolution, not everybody adopts. Some people are still stuck on old trend. We have some people who are fully into the new trend. Like they are both extremes. There are some people who now overly rely on AI. My problem with that is the moment you overly rely on AI does not understand a lot of foundations that you as a designer is meant to understand. You would most likely, it will show in your work. Your work would become very, very, in the right English, just there. There's nothing going to make you, it's, now this is my own personal opinion, but your work is going to be predictable to know this person used AI. It's just there. Now, if you are also stay sticking on the other edge of the bridge where you say, oh, you never use AI, it affects your CV. If you are working in fast, because the world now, founders know about AI, project owners know about AI, so they expect speed to be at
Yeah,
least better.
yeah.
So if you do not know how to push, you are going to be stuck. So designers are meant to be in a bridge. You are meant to be a connecting bridge between this side and the other side. Once you find that perfect balance in the middle, you know how to make AI work for you. The designers who do not utilize AI, those are the designers that will be phased out after a while because they will not be able to catch up with the speed at which the market is going. And designers who overuse AI would most likely have their foundations broken. And now there will be no difference. As a founder, I would rather just have an AI agent work for me than you who only knows how to use AI. I need someone who knows how to balance the output of AI with the humanity, ethics, and creativity of a human. So we are not, our job is not going anywhere. We are just going to now be more refined at how we use it.
Fantastic, fantastic. You actually made a lot of touch points there. How you see the role like evolving, how we should also collaborate with AI. Think I like the perspective you brought, like seeing it as a junior, right, and also increasing your speed, which is something that I feel at this point everybody should be doing because AI really does increase your speed in work. It could be that maybe you always like getting things done yourself in your hands. But like on the research side and things like drafting out documents and documentation, or just like quickly with the iterating flows and getting quick feedback, I think AI is something that could actually really help, which is fantastic, by the way. Are there I mean now but like now like you said, there's been so many, even founders are building by themselves now. Founders are building products by themselves, designers are building by themselves. We have a lot of founders right now, which is really interesting. But
Mhm.
we're getting these tools out there, and we're not. I don't know if there's like they're like technical or ethical considerations we should keep in mind when building with these tools, when designing with these tools, building experiences that are powered by AI. They're like considerations you should always keep in mind.
Hmm. Okay, so in terms of ethical considerations, I would say so. There are some core rules that needs to be set up now. Whether as a developer, I think as a designer, these things should be very key to your workflow. Now, one of them is transparency. Now, you need to be clear when something is AI generated or when something is actually a suggestion from maybe the system or the company, for example. Like maybe I'm working with a financial tool that gives me financial tips. Now, each of these tools, they already have trained professionals who understand the market and let you know, okay, this is our financial suggestion for the day, blah, blah, blah. We need to be clear on when things are human and when things are AI. So, oh, this recommendation is AI generated, verify before proceeding. Or, for example, I was working on a particular feature for the company I'm working for, and we are currently working on something that allows you switch between vaults to be able to increase your earning yield. And for that to, we could always just put it that, okay, we are basically optimizing your yield for you. But we're constrained by even our third party. We're trying to use Privy, and we needed to be clear that it is an AI vault switching that gives AI the ability to be able to take actions on your behalf. So that transparency is one very major ethical value that needs to be embedded in our workflows. Also, this control I made mention of. Now, AI, especially with the AI agents now, they can take actions on your behalf. Now, you see that ability to give control and power. If, as a designer, you do not set those constraints, we probably will just AI can you can end up seeing AI getting things done for us, sending emails because you actually told the AI, oh, send this email for you. But where that control and consent comes in is, oh, before this message is sent, especially if it's something sent to, maybe if it's sent to me, maybe I tell you send me a reminder, that's fine. But maybe I'm sending something to you, there needs to be a step that gives me the control to make content. So probably send me an email that brings me to the platform to be able to approve that mail. Even if I have approved such a mail before, my mind might have changed today. Maybe I was thinking about a way to approach differently. Now, AI doesn't necessarily have that for now, that have that ability to think out of the box or to be spontaneous in its creativity. AI has the ability to work with the information you've given it. So at that moment, maybe my mind has changed. I want something else. I need to be able to have full control and give content. So when designing for these solutions, you need to be able to ensure that content is fully in control of the users. Now, things like we also need to consider that AI is actually biased. AI is biased on the information it has and the information, probably the particular demographic it's pulling out this information from. So you as designer needs to be able to you need to be able to let the users know that okay, whatever information you're getting from here, it's also subjective to the AI, and you can also refine and make imputes. Some other things I can think of is we need to also provide validation. So you see some AI tools where I'm searching for information, it gives me access to where that information was brought from. So it says, okay, this maybe based on the data, blah blah blah, 20% of this does this. Then it gives me access to the resource material, so I can also confirm by myself. Because it is information gotten from AI doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate. AI, like I said, just scouts the internet and is intelligent enough to be able to provide a very decent summary for what you need. So explainability is a very important aspect as well, where basically you should know as a user, or you should design as a designer, that everything coming out of AI is probabilistic and it is open to iterations. So I think out of my head, those are like the things I can think of. Then probably safety. For example, I'm designing a healthcare tool now. I should, for things that are delicate. For example, I tell you, there was a particular time we're making jokes that if you have headache, don't tell ChatGPT, because ChatGPT will tell you you have 1 week to live. So you should be able to set for some delicate items that okay, this is your own um, suggestion, but you should consult probably with a doctor. All those things basically let you know that these are not the final words. This is just what I think. So a lot of times it boils down to transparency and really designing for trust. Those things should be very paramount in when designing for both Web3 tools and AI tools.
Fantastic. That's actually interesting. You've given me even like you've given me so much to even look at. I was reading an article the other day, and some things that you said actually matched because they've been doing research on how we can how as designers we should like be working with AI, and some of the things that AI currently does that we need to keep a check on. And transparency was one of it. At every stage of whatever interaction you're having with AI, we should have like control. We should be able to give permission to start. We should be able to stop it while whatever result is trying to bring is going on, and we should be able to reverse so that as we human, and then even give them clarity so as human beings we can feel safe, because this thing is going to be taking our information or whatever, and we need to have full control. So fantastic. I love how
Exactly.
you put it down. Yeah.
You
Yes.
also need to tell them that, actually, one other important, I even talked about information. I just remembered one aspect where we need to also, because AI deals a lot. I think the power of AI is in its memory.
Yeah.
AI is able to memorize the information you've given it. So we also need to have control
Yeah.
as you actually being for the AI to know, okay, I want the AI to save my information, or do I want the memory to be restricted to this chat? I might want to keep it confidential. So you need to be able to have all those things in place. Full control and ownership still remains.
It's very interesting because the AI space is so much. It's like a new frontier, and there's so much for you to explore.
Hmm.
Anyways, yeah, I'm looking for, which brings me to like the next question. Like what skills do you believe that as a designer will make us stand out? Like what skills do you see making a designer stand out in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hmm. Skills that I will most likely embed. So one of them, number one is, I think I'll just call like three skills or maybe three. So systems thinking is extremely important. We should, as designers, no longer, people tell you at first you started with, oh, don't just think about the UI alone. Good UI, form follows function, is no longer the case. It's now form works in hand with function, which is fine, it's decent. But the traditional UX we know basically allows you to understand linear flows. Or clicking on this leads to this, or this is not easily accessible, probably positioning and things like that, hierarchy. Those, like I said, those timeless principles of product design still remain, at least 70% of them still remain timeless. But still, we designers need to evolve into not just understanding UX flows, into systems thinking. You need to be able to understand the ecosystem that you're building on. You need to be able to understand the, like I said, the stakeholders and the various things that make what you're building on easier. Like, for example, understand third-party integrations, understand which has to come into where to make whatever you're building easier. It's something that a lot of devs understood earlier, but designers were new to catching up. So designers really need to step up their game when it comes to systems thinking. Then technical literacy. I do not. There was a particular time I was actively learning how to code. Now I think someone on Twitter even mistook it for I was just starting my career path as a tech person, as a dev, because he posted. I think he retweeted something I posted. He tagged me. Was like, that I saw a post. He tagged my post. He said, "You basically showed us that you were just learning the basics of coding again." Because I kind of, after years of living development, I needed to pick it back up again. And he was like, "And how can in just 2 years?" Because I kind of was refreshing my memory like 2 years ago. In just 2 years, you're already a senior product designer. Twitter tries to set you up for dragging. And I was like, "Hey, bros, calm down, wait, relax." No, I am not, no longer a dev. I've been in this space for years now. I am just trying to re educate myself on my technical literacy, which is something that has helped me. Even with my foundation in front end engineering, it helps me communicate with devs. Now, I might not know how to code. I do not even necessarily need to know how to at least write the code by myself, but I understand the basics of how the logic works. I understand, oh, there are some things that, if designed this way, might give devs challenges in terms of building. So, based on that little literacy, it even affects how you design, how you work with components, and all those things really help you become a better designer. And these are things that will make you even have better relationships with your devs, because a product is not just about how well it's designed, but it's about how well it's built out. So you also need to understand, like, for example, you are going to Web3, you need to understand the technical aspects of how, not knowing it fully, but understand at least bits and pieces of how, like, wallets work, how smart contract works, how maybe account abstraction works. If you are maybe doing AI, you need to understand how, like, LLMs work, the basics of it, so you can know the limitations, you can know the possibilities. Because another thing again I tell designers is you need to be curious. If you're a designer who just stays in the comfort zone of what he knows, yes, you would survive in the current market, but you might, if you are not careful, you might not be able to survive in the future market, because you are basically just sticking with what you know now. You now end up trying to see you struggling to adapt. But once you are a curious designer, and curiosity also comes out of you trying to push past the limitations that you've seen. Sometimes you might push too much and it might not necessarily work. So you control all these things with you understanding the possibilities that your tools can give you, even if those solutions don't exist. You probably, I'm very sure, probably the person that even started with AI knew that, is it possible for me to gather information? Oh, Google gathers information, but probably Google doesn't necessarily have, as at then, the intelligent way of doing you a quick summary. So are these things possible? Yes. Okay, how about I bring it together? Now, you need to be curious, and you need to have that curiosity backed by a little bit of both product literacy and technical literacy. It helps you as a designer, because we are moving into the phase where vibe coders are coming up. I tell people, this might be my own opinion, but I tell people, the people who are going to be the best set of vibe coders in the future market are designers. Because a dev knows how to make code work, and probably AI in his hands, he's still just limited to his dev knowledge. The only thing is that he made the code faster. But a designer knows how to make a product work. He knows how to think of the end-to-end solution and bring solution to that business problem. He doesn't just know how to bring it alive. Now, with a good AI tool in his hand as a vibe coder, he mixing that um, design skill with AI, he would be able to build out any solution. And that is one thing that is going to be very, 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 very in demand for vibe coding. And I believe that the people who will make the best vibe coders are designers because they know how to, they are limited with their lack of building knowledge. The devs are limited with the act of creativity. They don't know how to think about all these things. Yeah, even if AI helps them, it's not the same when the designer that can think full systems has those tools in his hands. So um I think basically those are like the skill sets. I think you pick up this is for me, you pick up systems thinking, technical literacy, expand your curiosity. Don't just stay stable with the current norm. Then explore with vibe coding. I personally see it as a very important feature for the future for designers, vibe coding, because now people are going to move past just, oh, we want to have design, but we want to have solutions built out. Founders will not have the time to do it by themselves. I've experienced it by myself when I knew I was using this AI tool, Sintra. Sintra is a very beautiful tool, anyways. And I was thinking, oh, it can help me with marketing ideas and just I knew I had the tool to help me, but do I have the time to be able to tell the tool what to do, or to revise, or to check, or to ensure these things are posted? I didn't have the time. I still needed my marketer to get things done. So similarly, product owners, founders are not going to be using these AI tools to build out designs. They won't have the time. They are busy with other things. They will still need you as a designer to get it done.
Fantastic. And you mentioned something that really resonated with me, which is understanding technical language as well, at least to a certain degree. I remember when I think at the point at which how I design changed was when at least the UI part at most was when I picked up Webflow, right? The way I communicated um, with engineers changed then, right? Because I had to when I picked up Webflow, I started learning some CSS, although not to high levels, right? But I now understood how containers work, how positioning works, and everything. So the way I design really changed. Like if you go to my Figma file now, everything is in auto layout because like I'm used to how everything is in all every single thing. In fact, some of you see my manager complain, why is everything in auto layouts? But that's how yeah, but that's how exactly that's how it actually works because like it makes everything responsive and stuff. But like yeah, definitely as a designer we should be able to understand how this, at least to a certain degree, how these things work. Right now, from what I'm also getting, what I'm saying now, even going further to be future proof, right? You need to also start playing around with vibe coding and stuff. So, really interesting how you broke it down. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, with being future proof, right? What would you, if you're like, mentoring like a designer, what advice would you give them to like be future proof to see how they should make sure that career needs to be relevant in the future?
Hmm. So if I was mentoring probably a designer now, similar things to what I just like mentioned, I was like, one of the things I would tell them to do is stay curious.
Yeah.
Don't don't just don't be comfortable because we are in a space that evolves drastically. The moment you are too comfortable, you wouldn't it would limit how well you evolve. Number two, try to get your hands dirty as much as possible. Now, I know there are AI tools now because the way we learn design now, someone was asking me recently, can I send him, he wants to start going to product design, and I should send him tools that I used in order to learn design. And I was like, man, I honestly don't think the way we actually learned design then is going to be the same now
Yeah.
because everything was a bit is different. Now,
Right.
we actually need to be able to learn how design tools work. We need to be able to learn how to design with AI. But at the same time, you need to be able to get your hands dirty. So, actually getting your hands dirty is very, very, very important. It will enable you even see the mistakes and know how to correct AI. Like I said, staying curious. That curiosity is always going to push you. Staying hungry, okay, you are always having a goal to push towards. Um, Another advice I'll tell people is try to enjoy what you do, and to an extent, have somebody that you're accountable to. People talk a lot about posting your work online and let it have visibility. Now, I know it might not be the easiest for a lot of people. There are some people, no matter how you shout it, there are some people who do not necessarily like that public view. They just like being low key, and it's fine. Now, it's not only posting on Twitter or social media that gives you jobs. Maybe it might increase your visibility, true. But the skill you know and you own is what really matters. Now, how are you accountable? If you are someone who posts online, great. You're accountable to the community, which see your work, they give you review. You have that initiative in you to always make your next design better than the previous. So you can be able to, maybe the engagement you got, the thing sweet you. Yeah, 1,000 likes. You want to bring another thing that gives you that same likes. It's there. It happens to me too. So that would unknowingly push you to always trying to make the next one better than the previous. Or you have somebody you're accountable to. It can be a mini group. Like one thing that helped me out is I always, at a point when I was learning, I had someone that I was better than, that I can pass knowledge. I don't know why that thing always happens. When you have someone that you teach, you subconsciously learn better. Or those things that you learn, you cement it. Then I always have someone that is I'm better than. Then I always have someone that is better than me. Then I always have somebody that is on equal footing with me. So that person on equal footing serves as a challenge to you to always keep pushing, always keep learning. You guys share new learnings together. Then my own partner in crime was Druid Murphy. He's a very good friend of mine. And we're always like doing challenges together. Then you see us do 30-day challenge, this one. Like we're enjoying the learning process together. He learned something new, he tells me, I learned something new, I tell him. So where that equal footing kept us running. Then we had people that were advanced, that were way before us. We had like on a Mudia that we used to see as the past then in the space, that were always at least aspiring to be like. Then we had people like I had mentees that you don't necessarily need to be the greatest designer before you have someone you're mentoring. Your mentor can actually have him. I saw someone making a joke saying that your mentor define mentor. And the person was trying to make a joke about it. And I was like, I know you are trying to be sarcastic, but what's wrong in it? You don't have to be the best before you can pass knowledge. You just need to know something that is worth teaching. And at the same time, because you know something doesn't mean you should be proud to think you know everything. In fact, the more you know, the less you think the less you actually realize you know. So you as a mentor, having a mentor is actually pretty decent. I have a mentor. I actually got a mentor very late. And yeah, I it was long story. It was the company I was when I was about to go into game seven. So I had two offers to either go to game seven or go to hyperplay. Then I saw this particular designer, Josh Rio. I say it's by all standards, is like one of the best designers I've seen in this life. He was so good. And it's just I knew I was going to have a more comfortable space in hyperplay because my former founder was there from Ballast, and we have a very good relationship, someone I like a lot. But I was like, I will learn more from this guy. And because of that, I switched and accepted the offer of Game 7. I would have had more perks in Hyperplay, but I needed to. Then from there, that's how our mentor relationship started. So I have mentees a lot. I think even from HNG and I've mentored almost thousands of people from ADP, but still I have a mentor. In fact, the more I learn from my mentor, the more I now know to be able to pass down to the mentees. So these things I'll tell designers have someone that is you're accountable to, both someone that is better than you and have people around your same level that serve as a drive, then try to try to renew your knowledge regularly every 6 months. Like renewing knowledge and renewing proof of work. Your portfolio is something that is very important to you. I see a lot of people having portfolios that you see some dead works. I tell someone one bad project on your portfolio can scar your portfolio more than you know. Your portfolio is not a history or timeline of all your work. Your portfolio is you putting your best foot on the ground. If possible, try to iterate on it, at least when you're starting every 6 months. Then also try to iterate on your knowledge. Try to browse what was something that served as maybe it was something that was just viral in the air that everybody was talking about, but has now finally started getting use case. Probably as I when Web3 started, Web3 was viral. All of a sudden, Web3 started getting use cases. If you wait too long to reflect, you would most likely miss it or start struggling. That 6 months reflection gives you the ability to be part of those early birds. Then sometimes, so for people who like reading, I'll tell you, read books, read design books in your spare time. Do not choke yourself as a designer with too much work. I experienced it at my own at a point in my own life where that's hunger. Hey, you have project here, you collect it, you have project before you know it, you see yourself working on. You have maybe two full-time jobs and like four contracts. Oh my, see, you would now be stuck because at that point you do not have the time to evolve anymore. You are only now going to have enough time to satisfy your clients with the knowledge you have. It really stunts your growth. So, in as much as you are hungry, you are trying to earn as much, no problem. Always try to create space for learnings. You can be stuck on a particular level. And one thing about levels is levels to an extent influence your earning capacity. You can see maybe you're at the level, I don't want to call amounts, but let's just say you're at the level where you're earning 50,000 naira, for example. And you can be doing 5 or 6 jobs, getting 50K in six of them, and you're earning 300. It feels like a lot to you. But if you level up your game with knowledge and scaling, you can 10x that from just one job. Now you're at the 500K level, it feels good. If you level up even more, you can still 10x that. So no matter how much you engulf yourself with work, it is very important to always create that room. Be as intentional as when you are giving sprint, I say you cannot do this in this time. Be as intentional as always safeguarding your learning space, your learning time. So I think those are like the advices I'll give juniors to or someone who is recently starting and find a community. Designing in silos, for some people, they have that ability to push by themselves. It's not out of the ordinary. It's something that happens. But sometimes you need it might not be a big community. Big community, sometimes you might feel lost. It can just even be a small community where you guys help each other. It serves as support, serves as guide. Even aside from your mentor, it helps you really find your footing as a young designer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that explanation. And I mean, you're absolutely right. There are times when, like, when you're teaching, right, it just helps things stick. It actually works for me, although I run away from teaching. But it's actually when I do, like, I just realize that this thing, like, it's like it helps cement that knowledge for you, because like saying it out loud, right? So yeah, I mean, thank you so much. It's been such an amazing session for me.
People have
I've learned so much. Like, you have no idea. I've learned so much today. I'm gonna go back and watch this again. Like, you have so many knowledge board for me. But that's
pleasure.
my time. I'm gonna hand over to Kutaji now. He's gonna ask like wrap those closing questions, and then we'll see if there are any questions in the
All right.
comments.
So thank you so much, Raphael. I was tempted to say a part or the way Benin people greeted elders because I say you've been dropping me. I'm just soaking it all in. I know those following and those who are going to watch are going to learn a lot. Even when we post the shots, they're going to learn a lot from this session. I think there's something you said a lot, so I'm not going to bother talking about the number of things like Raphael's done well doing summaries and also recapping. I think one thing I think we're going to bring you back for.
Mm,
I'm also looking at
okay.
us bringing Druids for that. But first of all, I think I don't know who we're going to bring first, but is learning. So I think there's something that Druids mentioned in one of his spaces, a Twitter space. I think that was around this Web3 challenge he did
Okay.
about a
He
talk he
does it.
gave called "Learning as a Superpower." I'm going to bring Druids to Designery. I've not spoken to him yet, but if he sees this, just now I'm going to bring you. And that lane as a superpower, that's what I want to talk about. But you said something here which I think we will need to talk about, but not today. You talked about
Okay.
leveling up, right? So, and you're like, okay, if you're doing, because that's the reality of a lot of designers, even developers, but I was going to speak to designers, like doing multiple gigs, trying to catch up with the economy and all, right? And of course, like you said, you're just basically dissipating energy and knowledge that you currently have, and you don't have the time to learn. But and so
Mm-hmm.
you talked about leveling up. Like if you level up really, you will be able to 10x, and you even just need to stick to one job. And even without that one, you can still level up again. So what really is how does I say level up, or how would you um structure or guide? Like what really is leveling up? What that's not a conversation for today because leveling up can mean different things for many people. Some
You
people can mean
can.
leveling up means that okay, posting their work randomly. Leveling up can mean reading more books. Leveling up can mean so like if you were to guide, I'm not asking you to answer this, but I'm just saying get ready for just because it may be
Bro.
something you do, but you may not really have put like a thought or a framework as to let's say you want to guide somebody to level up, right? Guy, this thing you are doing 3 gigs, guy is draining you, right? Okay, do this, do this, do this, focus, and within 6 months, trust me, you most likely would be able to earn far more than what you're doing with these jobs, right? So we want to be able, that's one thing we're looking to do here at the designer. We want to be able to unblock designers to help them grow in their career. And for what you've said, someone who is doing multiple gigs, you are not definitely having the time to level up, right? So we're going to bring you
It's
back for that topic at some point,
no,
definitely.
no problem. Happy to discuss it. All this now. I'm not against doing multiple gigs. On, hey, you you can do your multiple gigs, but create time, like safeguard that time. But anyways, we'll discuss about it on another day.
Okay, so not no questions from me, nothing to talk about. I just want to give you some time back to talk about anything. Right? Okay, so I know you do CP, you are the founder of CP Live and also Growth Ticketing System. But this is we have this we normally have time where we have our give our guests to talk about or promote anything they want. So that's our way of giving back to them to appreciate them for the knowledge they're sharing with us for coming on
Okay,
our platform. So I say you have the next few minutes, 2, 3 minutes or four, to just talk about anything you want to promote, right? So yeah, floor over to you.
great. Okay, so contrary to the very popular knowledge, it's because I'm the one that is always
Okay,
have my face
CP, I
out
know.
there.
Is your mom okay?
Technically, it's my mom's startup, but I just as her tech son, who she always it's only tech. So it was just it started off as a way to we saw a problem with the way drinks are distributed. Like if you ask 10 people, how do you get your drinks? You hear them say things like, oh, okay, I just go to the nearby supermarket. Or rarely you see people go to the market, the main market to get things. And the major problems are number one, no matter the supermarket, I can bring out price list of 10 major supermarkets. It is always more expensive. And it's not their fault. They need to those places that they rent is very expensive. They need to pay for rent. They need to probably recover the money they use for building. So it's way more expensive. Now, if you are someone who is mobile, you have a car, good. You can easily drive, put in your boot. Also, someone that doesn't necessarily have a car, maybe you have to book boats to go there, book boat and come back because only you cannot be carrying 10 packs of Eva water or carrying maybe 1 carton of wine. So there's a lot of discomfort and people always still have to go through those. You see people that tell okay, they will have to now plan their drinks to say, okay, maybe when my friend comes with his cows. So it's very inconveniencing. And when you tell people, where do you get drink? How do you make this easy for yourself? They really don't know. So my mom was already in the business of drinks and the whole idea of tech is to make life easier for everybody anyway. So CP, now digitalized, was a means of bringing the ability for people to get access to drinks at the cheapest prices because we are wholesale distributors. So we give you that wholesale price to retailers, which you would not get in the market, and we bring you a convenience. You get your drinks scheduled. You can actually set up a schedule. You say, okay, you know what? For people like me who get engulfed with work, I might forget sometimes when the water is even finishing. It's just when I go and take the last one and I remember, no more water again. Maybe in the middle of the night, around 10 p.m., when supermarkets are closed, you now remember you don't have water again. You now have to now, let me not talk about some things I've done to drink water. But if you have a schedule, so we help you schedule your drinks. We're actually working on a feature that is even bringing this to the web app itself. So okay, maybe every weekend you have this certain number of drinks, or every month we have some customers who we help schedule. So we basically, the goal is make life easy for you. Drinks are relatively daily consumptions. It must not be Azul for a party. It can just be your water. It can be your Five Alive in the fridge that you drink when you want to be able to relax after designing for hours. So we make drinks easy for individuals and for businesses, for lounges, for clubs, for restaurants who basically always have like inflow of people. So we help you schedule, we help you maintain your itinerary, let you know that okay, you do not run out. It's not when the club is popping, that's when Azul will finish. No, we let you know what you need to keep track of. So we basically are a system or a support system for drinks, a distributor for drinks, making life easier for both individuals and businesses. Then Groove as well. Very long story, but I'm also Groove is a project that myself and a friend we came together to build. It's started off as something on the side because we got frustrated with always not necessarily knowing where to go in Lagos, and we had some incidents where we had some fake tickets sold to us and things like that. But we realized, how do we bring transparency and trust into the event space? We know we are Web3 designers. He's a Web3 dev. So Groove is a Web3 ticketing solution that is built on the blockchain to enable event creators set up their events. Now we move past just the traditional setting up your event and having tickets to also evolving it into you planning for your event, because we know that every event starts from a vision and every vision takes planning before it's even executed, which is the final product you see that is hosted. So we allow you plan for those events, we allow you execute it, and we provide support. It's still in its beta phase. We have a lot of iterations we are doing, but so far so good. We've accounted for over at least 200 events and almost 10,000 ticket sales. So we evolve each day with the customers and we are scaling out progressively. And our next version is launching with the AI support, whereby it's a next generation of AI common. So how about, instead of stressing people to fill out all their details, create events by themselves, I just give a prompt and it enables me, because sometimes I will start thinking about what's the best description to use for my event. How do I Let's make life easier for you. So we have an AI powered, blockchain powered event tool that caters for everything events. So that's Groove, that's CP. We are actively
Right.
building with the community, and yeah, open for feedbacks anytime. It helps us grow.
Okay. So thank you very much. I said when you mentioned Groove, I thought about where the name came from, but this is off record. But it's somehow good to find its way there. I kind of think maybe probably you and your friend were looking for where to party. That's why you called it Groove. But I will leave that. You don't have to answer that.
Don't worry, let me know. Sorry for another day.
But you don't have to answer that. Okay, all right, guys. Thank you so much. I say like lots. Like Rafa said, is going to go back to listen. I'm good, definitely going to. While I getting this, I'm going to be listening to it definitely. Then also, I know people who follow through to the end are going to have a lot of knowledge. So we're bringing Isa back definitely sometime in the future for another episode. But for now, I'll say thank you so much. I say thanks everybody who followed through. Have a lovely weekend and enjoy your night. So enjoy your weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Yes, sorry, before we go, I've not done promotions. Please follow us on Twitter. Follow us or subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please share our videos wherever, whatever platform you see you on Instagram, on TikTok, or LinkedIn. Please, wherever you see the Designery HQ, follow, like, and share our content. Yeah, now I can say enjoy your weekend. Good night, guys.